Well, good morning. We're going to glue our Opus 15 violin back together. We've got our glue clamps ready. We have our alignment fixture that we set up before we took the violin apart. These tabs make everything solid and level and positions the neck side to side and up and down and the body flat. And so we're all ready to go. I'm going to go off camera and get the violin parts out of the desiccant bag where it's been overnight. And this is with an industrial grade desiccant. Right. And as you can see here, the humidity was 31%, so it was down from about 47% ambient. What that'll do, that'll just make it a little less prone to cracking in severe dry weather. Okay. So we're going to start with the back. It's all ready to go. And we've got our violin making glue, just slightly thinner than full strength. In fact, it could probably be thin just a little bit more. Oh. Hang a second here. Use a wooden mixing dowel here to, okay, and runs off nicely, so that's good. Okay, so we're going to pre-glue the surfaces and just nice even full coat. We don't so much it's going to run off and run down inside the violin. So I'm just going around covering all the surfaces and trailing along the top of the ribs and good coverage on the blocks. Remove the excess from my brush before I bring it out. And this is one of those little pieces of wood that transferred over, so get a coat on it. And down the rib top on the other side. So in cold weather, you probably should think about having two people, one to apply glue to the top plate and the other to do the back and ribs here, the rib section, so that you can save a little time. It helps to, this has been preheated in the sun for about an hour. Just so I'm going to do now, set this in place. So you see it just clips in. Now I'm going to put a clamp on the neck to hold that in place. That neck alignment's important, so I'm just going to put just enough pressure to hold it in place. Now we're ready to do the top plate. Okay, we'll start here with the back block, and you can see where it had been glued before, so you just want to cover again the areas where it's a little piece of wood fiber there. Get that out of the way so it doesn't hold up the glue joint. And you don't have to worry about any excess glue that's on the outside. We'll just wash away with some hot water, and we'll use some hot water around the glue joint when we're done, and that'll reset the glue as we've applied the clamps. So this is one of the advantages of using real violin making hide glue, is that you can, plus you can disassemble it with hot water, one nice thing, and the joint doesn't creep under pressure even over many years, which is what you want. And if you're careful and use a lower strength glue, say they say half strength for the top, then if someone drops the violin, it'll break the glue joint and then it won't crack the top, is the idea. I have a hard time putting a low grade glue on anything I do, so it's pretty much full strength glue for me. And by having the using the desiccant, That's going to help avoid any problems with real low humidity and real dry conditions. Okay, I'm just going to use some hot water here. Get some of this glue off my fingers. Alright, I didn't start my timer, did I? Okay, so the fixture is going to hold it in position, and we're going to apply some of our glue clamp, or spool clamps that are all ready to go, and just enough to hold this alignment. Put them on each of the corners. Now these first clamps are really vital. You have to check and see how the edges are aligned. Be sure that's all good. You can just do it by feel. And want some pressure on the end blocks, of course. You want these spool clamps ready to go so you don't have to waste time by opening them up, anything like that. It should be just ready to put in position and tighten down. And you notice too, I've marked one side with a line. That line goes out, and that's because they fit best that way. Alright, do this corner over here. And hang on with just a real light pressure. Alright. Once you start this job, you want to complete it in fairly short order, but you don't have to breathe heavy, just have to work fast. All right. Now when you put these on, you've got to leave room to be able to slide it forward as you take it off the fixture. So, otherwise I wouldn't put a clamp right here, I'd move it over a bit. Okay, put a center bout clamp in. There'll be 3 clamps in each center bout, one in the middle and one at each end. Okay. Here we're just trying to get a little more than finger tight to start with here. And some of the pressure will kind of squeeze the glue out. Okay, check your edges again. And a little bit more overhang here than a little less here. When you take the top off and put it back on, there's real possibility that it's not going to be perfect. So, okay, so I'm going to take this clamp off, and I'm going to move the violin forward and up. I'll just push on the back here, lift it up, and temporarily set it on edge. Take the assembly fixture, get that out of the way. Alright, so here we're going to, now the idea here is you want the screw type, this part to be away from the glue joint, and so we're doing the top plate. So I'm going to put the rest of the clamps on in the opposite direction here. And when we've got all these on, we'll switch the others around. And the reason for that is, as you wash it off with hot water, you might tend to get some glue in this area where the threads are. So, I'm just going to go right around here. So the black line away. And I just made these up, you can buy them. There's a little, not sure what that is. I think it's a leather pad, and I've kind of ground out a little groove for the lip. And that's why I have the black line, so we'll show you if we have time when we're done. goes here. Okay, I'm going to flip this over. And since this is the glue side over here, see those little glues come up? We won't worry about that right now, but we'll get it when we wash off the side. These are just a firm grip. We tighten it. The inside bout. And the outside bout. Inside of the bottom of the violin here. And you notice I put a piece of electrician's tape on the threaded area just to keep that away from the varnish. Running out of clamps here. Okay, now what we're going to do, we're going to turn this over. Remember, we want the threaded area away from the glue joint, so we want the threaded area over here. We're going to turn these other clamps around. Push them all the way back here, so the tape's touching the wall of the ribs. So we're just working steady, and that's what's required. And then one in the center of the side bout. Black line out. And when we're done, we're going to let this dry overnight. And then we can take the clamps off and get on with the next part of our assembly process. Now I'm going to go ahead and put this clamp kind of overhanging the area where the saddle is going to go in, just to apply a little more pressure here, and I'll have to move that out of the way when we glue on the saddle. Could do it now, but I want to have a little more pressure on the saddle joint, so I'm just going to let that overlap a little bit. We have good contact there over the bottom end block. Alright, turn these around to the ones on the other side. So this is the top plate, so we want the threaded side to go away. Just spread these out evenly along the sides here. Find there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on the upper bout, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 on the lower bout. And we're almost done. Two more to go. Alright, another one note. Okay, black lines out. So we want these tight against the neck here to get as much pressure as we can on the upper block. Okay, let's see how the time's going. Okay, that's 14 minutes. We have 17. So our next step is to get some hot water. This will just be the hot water that's cover up the glue so I don't forget and dip into that. So I have some bounding paper towels, I think they are. So what we're going to do, we're going to wash all the glue that's dripped down, and we're going to wet the joint, and we're going to brush this hot water along that joint. We're going to clean the side up. So if you see any glue there, we're just going to wipe it off with a paper towel as much as we can. We're just going to go all the way around the violin. You can kind of run your brush in behind the clamps. But this is hot water. We'll take the excess off with our paper towel. And this resets the glue and makes a wonderful glue joint here. It's water's 150 degrees, and professional ones, it's got a little thermostat in there. It's automatic. Just keep going all the way around. And then when we've washed these all down, we're going to tighten the clamps again. And again, there's just as you kind of compress the joint and as the joint is reset, then they'll be retightened a couple times, maybe in a couple hours, maybe in 4 hours. Go ahead and get this done. And this end block for the saddle is, let's put some hot water down in there. Trying to come around the other side now. Back in this paper towel. So that'll wash the excess glue off the connection between the rib and the top plate here. Okay, we're coming around to our last side. Now, if some of the glue does seep down on the ribs, you can just wait, have your hot water the next day, and just use hot water on a brush and rub it until it dissolves again, just wipe it off. So that's the way to remove any glue that's on the outside where you don't want it. Just after it's dry, just next day or so, get some hot water up,